Right, welcome back to another episode of the Four Right podcast. This week, we are joined by probably the best left-handed golfer in Taranaki. Certainly the best left-handed golfer at Manaia Golf Club, Sam Jones. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So, Sam, give us a bit of a brief, mate, on your career. You've had a really unique run, I reckon, in golf and played college golf in the States. You've played the New Zealand Speed Golf Championship and done quite well, I believe. You've won the New Zealand Long Drive Championship. You've won the New Zealand Amateur. Probably the only thing missing off that list is, there's a couple of things actually. New Zealand Open's the obvious one. But also, I reckon you could play the New Zealand Hickory.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, actually, Jay.
As well.
Oh, New Zealand Left-Handers. Have you played that?
No, I haven't. I haven't played that. No.
I think you'd go okay in that one.
Yeah, well, I didn't quite win the speed golf one, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I probably not going to be able to tick that one off, but I think I got a top 3 there somewhere, I think, in one of them. But yeah, where do you want me to start? How far back are we talking here?
Well, let's just give us an overview, mate. Just take us to where you're at right now.
Where I'm okay. I think a good way to start would probably be back like when I was in high school. Like when I picked it up when I was about 12, and I was never very good in high school. I would be the first one to admit that. Probably got to a scratch when I was about 16. I could still shoot 85 on any day of the week pretty comfortably. Hit it a long way, but used to hit it sideways. And got very lucky with the college that I ended up going to in the States. They were a pretty decent Division 2 school at the time, and I definitely probably wasn't good enough to go there, but courses in Taranaki were nice and short, and my scoring average looked pretty good in the Taranaki under-16s and under-19s tournaments, so that probably helped in my favour to get into a decent school. And then, just kind of slowly got better from there, really. First 2 years were a bit slow. I didn't get along with the coach very well. And then we got a new coach in my 3rd year and started playing a lot more relaxed golf and won a tournament and then won a couple of tournaments my senior year. Come back from college and then won New Zealand Am and North Island Stroke Play pretty much straight away as soon as I got back and got into the Golf New Zealand scene. And that's when I met you, Jay, I think. We were walking down one of the fairways at, I think it might have been the 6th fairway at Tauranga, I believe. 7th fairway, something like that. Kind of when I first got into the scene there, and probably that was when I thought that I could have started to do, good enough that I could have done it for a living, and then, just kind of slowly progressed year on year from there, and then got immensely lucky and played well at the right time and got through DPQ school into 23. That was a pretty crazy time. I could have been playing Charles Tour or DP. Like that was basically my 2 options. If I didn't get through that Q school, I would have been playing in New Zealand on the Charles Tour. So pretty big step up to go from that to DP pretty much straight away. Being this, we'll be coming up my 3rd year as a professional, so 2 complete years, and then obviously lost my card the first year, being on challenge last year or hotel planner, gave it a good run and didn't quite finish inside the top 20, and then getting ready to go and do it all again this year.
What was the major learning, mate, from the DP? Because that's pretty, as you say, that was pretty cool. And to say that you got lucky is a bit of a, I understand the sentiment you're trying to suggest there, but it's more than just luck to get through that. But what was your biggest learning that year on the DP World Tour? Because as you say, it's probably pretty eyes wide open.
The biggest learning was definitely that I was good enough to be there, I think. I never really thought that I knew I could play, and I kind of played a bit with Gears in that 2022 when I won the Charles Tour at Merit, played a bit with Gears, played a bit with Mike Hendry.
Gears being Josh Geary.
Sorry, yeah, Josh Geary. Some guys that have been there for, Gears has played a little bit on DP and a little bit on challenge, and then to play with them and kind of compete with them and beat them in certain events. I kind of always knew that I could play, but I wasn't really too sure how that was going to translate to the top level. And then he had a couple of good finishes on DP and felt like, if you can finish inside the top 10 in a DP event, I think games were pretty good and good enough to be there. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest learning. Just learning that I could compete with the big guys, and my good stuff is good enough to win one of those events.
What else did you play growing up? Because you do hit a long way, and Jay mentioned you have won the New Zealand Long Drive Champs, so it's pretty clear. But you got a lot of club speed. What other sports did you play growing up that you think might have helped?
So main sport growing up was tennis.
Yep.
Mum and her brother, so mum and my uncle were really good tennis players. So I kind of had a tennis racket in my hand from about 3 years onwards. Nana and Granny had a tennis court at their house, so played a lot of tennis. Played a little bit of rugby, not a whole lot. We played until I was about 11 or 12, and then picked it up again when I was a little bit older, but I was a little bit small, a little bit soft to play rugby. So hung that one up pretty quickly. Played a lot of cricket as well, and it just translated everything. Like I can serve a tennis ball pretty quickly. I can bowl a cricket ball relatively fast. I've always been able to throw hard. Never really been much of a jumper or a sprinter, but just always been able to, for whatever reason, been able to throw. And I used to watch a lot of the long drive videos, like back in the day, like Jamie Sadlowski and all that kind of stuff. And I remember going out on the back lawn and just trying to swing it as hard as I could from when I was like 14 years old. So I think, yeah, that's where it developed, probably like some kind of natural ability. And then, all the sports and kind of just translated into me being able to hit the ball a decently long way.
I remember this is slightly off track, but I guess some of the diversity of your game is your knowledge of golf data was probably the first thing that struck me. You've always, in fact, I'm pretty sure you've helped out some of the younger academy members who were struggling with maths questions in their homework, and I'd just take a photo of it and send it to you, and about 3 seconds later you'd flick the answer back. And maths has always been a bit of a thing for you, and your understanding of tactics and statistics and how to understand them. I reckon that played a big part in your early development, at least, to be able to translate some of that ball striking into scoring. Would you agree with that? And when did you start probably looking into the analytics?
Yeah, definitely. I think something like that can only help, I think, if you have got an understanding of proper strategy and all the stats and numbers and all that kind of stuff. I probably started getting into it probably in college, maybe like second, third year of college. I started using decade systems. So basically all my knowledge comes from watching those decade videos Scott Fawcett would do. And then I read Every Shot Counts by Mark Brody. That was a massive one as well. That's just got so much good stuff in it. So yeah, obviously, yeah, like you said, numbers have always, for whatever reason, I've just always been good with numbers. And I remember being in primary school, like 5, 6 years old, and like being a class ahead and being in like the smart kids class, and like always enjoyed numbers and working stuff out. So wherever that was just kind of a natural thing that came to me. And with that comes a lot of, like looking at stats and all that kind of stuff. I guess it's just you just know what's happening with, like, you're not guessing, And I feel like golf, there's a lot of cliches that people talk about, that how they feel something's happening, and I don't really agree with a lot of that stuff. It's like, show me the numbers, like it doesn't matter what you think. It's like what's actually happening, and you can with golf now, there's so much data that you know exactly what people are doing. And it's going to get more, people are going to be able to start measuring more things as technology gets better. And I'm pretty excited to see where all that goes as well.
How often would you look at it? Is there enough data in one round, or will you wait to see trends?
I don't think there's enough data in one round. You could probably have a pretty good guess on one round of what's happening. But even now, it's like, yeah, I'd probably say over the course of 4 or 5 rounds, but then your game's also changing and developing. I think anything short of like an entire season is tricky, because you're playing in different conditions, different golf courses. Like, you can start comparing, I think, season to season when you start playing golf courses that are pretty similar. But even then, it's like golf courses can change year to year. But yeah, I would say anything, like a season is a pretty good chunk of data to be, okay, there's a lot of shots there that you're hitting. So that gives a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. But over the course of a few months, you can play 8 completely different golf courses. You can hit different shots in different conditions. So, I would say, for me personally, I think, a season's a pretty good chunk. I mean, I don't know what you tell the other kids or with the people that you work with, but I'd say that's a pretty good data set.
How do you use the data and the understanding of the data in a couple of ways? One would be, how do you use it on the course when approaching a shot? So understanding strokes gained and things, but also after you've hit the shot, do you almost look at it and go, well, I understand that shot happened because my path was this or my face was that? Does that help you sort of throughout the round?
Yeah, so I think the first part of that question would be like the where I'm trying to hit the shot, like the expectation management is what I was looking for there. That's a massive thing, I think. Just understanding what a good shot is and what a bad shot is. Then obviously you have the execution of that with the path and the face angle and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff's not rocket science. If it goes right, my face is closed. If it goes left, my face is open. That's basically like all you're going to really get. When you get to a certain level and the strike's decent enough, like that's pretty much all you're going to get out on the golf course. But I don't use it. I think you can get lost in it a little bit as well if you start diving in too far. The guy that I've worked with the last most of this year, we kind of sat down and had a chat at the AusPGA for a couple of hours, and basically there's just like a big portion of my strokes gain approach to the green from about 130 meters out is not where it needs to be. So basically I can just look at that and say, okay, we come up with a plan with Jay, and it's like, all right, I need to be hitting more balls from outside 130 meters. Like it's nothing, it's not rocket science. If you're lacking in an area, then just put more work into that area. So it kind of translates, I think, because a lot of golf courses that we play in New Zealand, it's for me especially, I'm hitting a driver and I'm pitching into most of the par fours, or I'm hitting a wedge. So my game inside 130 is pretty sharp, but it's just outside the 130, hitting the mid longer irons that we just never really grew up hitting. So that's probably the biggest gap for me. So just identifying where I'm losing compared to my peers and then working on that.
And is your long game as much of a superpower on the DP World Tour and the Hotel Planet Tour as it is back home? Or have you got other strengths that sort of stand out?
When the driving's good, it's really good, and I do gain a lot off the tee. But it also opens up, obviously, distance opens up room for more balls out of bounds, more balls in the hazard. That's definitely if that's good, then that's my thing. Like I can hit it far, hit it pretty straight, and wedge game's pretty solid. But funny enough, actually my short game has gotten really good. I've noticed that massive difference in my short game this year. And putting is pretty streaky, but I'd say my putting's gotten a lot better as well from when I was an amateur. And the ball strike and the iron plays potentially. It's hard to say because obviously we play easier golf courses, playing more difficult golf courses on the Hotel Planet, and DP. So it's hard to directly kind of look at iron play because you're obviously playing more tuck pins and firmer greens, all that kind of stuff. So it's probably not any worse, but it can look worse statistically just because of the course has been a bit harder. I feel like my whole game is just in a place now where it's like I know that everything's kind of there, and if I fire on all cylinders, I can shoot some really good numbers. So everything feels like it's getting just slowly better as the months come on.
It's interesting you say that, Sam. Obviously, I spent a bit of time with you last year in Portugal, and that was a big surprise for me because I thought Challenge Tour, I thought the course would be a bit easier and maybe the competition be a bit of a drop off from the DP. But I reckon if you took the top 20 off the DP, the Lowrys and Fleetwoods and McIlroys and those guys, the bulk of the DP tour you could feels like you could almost switch out for the bulk of the Hotel Planet Tour. And the golf course you were playing in Portugal was significantly different to anything we play in New Zealand. And, it was long, it was tight, it was windy. But reality is, I think the cut was still 2 under that week from memory.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And the leaders are invariably 18, 20 under.
Yeah.
How do you get your head around that each week, knowing that, like you're literally going to have to play pretty well every single week, and you're probably just as good as the guys that are on the DP?
Yeah, that's definitely a tricky one. Because from that, I could talk to a few people. Obviously, a few days ago, I released like my financial thing for the year, and we play for 10 times less money on the Hotel Planet Tour than we do on DP. It's literally, for an equal finish, you get 1 less zero on your check at the end of the week, and there's by far not a 10 times difference in ability. Like the ability is so much tighter than what I thought it was going to be. I really felt like last year that my game, like if I miss a cut, I haven't played very well. Like my stock standard game, when I turn up on whenever like I'm going to make the cut. Like I made a lot of cuts last year, and I felt like I really had to play poorly to miss a cut. So if that's me getting better, like DP was a bit different. Like I really felt like I had to play some pretty good golf to make a cut on DP, and maybe my game's just a little bit better this year. But yeah, there might be a shot and a half difference at the cut on Friday, and yeah, the winning score wouldn't be too much different. But yeah, I mean, you don't really have a choice. You just got to kind of that's just the reality of it. Like you've got to go out there and you've got to play really good golf to finish inside the top 5 or top 10. I only had 3 top 10s last year, I think, and a couple top 5s early. So I it almost was a little bit of a, I got off thinking that, oh yeah, this is going to be easy. Like I'm going to cruise through here. I just played really well at the start of the year, and then through the middle of the year didn't play so well, and kind of started realizing how good everyone was, because you start playing with these guys and you start getting to know them, and you play with this guy and who you played with last week, hey, he's really good, and then you play with someone else the next week, and this guy's really good too, and all these guys are just super good. And it was almost, when I first got out on DP, it was like I didn't know anybody, so it was almost like it was a good thing in a way, because I didn't know how good everyone was. I could just go out and do my own thing, but then you start playing with guys and you realize how good everyone is, and you realize that you've got to play really well to have good finishes.
You brought up there that you shared on Instagram your expenses for the year, and I think there's 2 parts to that. One is that's, I think, really enlightening, and I talk to a lot of people, or a lot of people talk to me about that, and they get a different sense of what professional golf is really like, because obviously a lot of that stuff's not out in the public, some of the expenses that go with it. But I'd actually like you to talk about your Instagram at the moment and what you're doing with it, what you've noticed from doing it, and how long you're going to do
it. So I don't even really know where it come from. I follow this guy on Instagram. I think his name's Michael Smoke. I think his Instagram name is the Higher Up Wellness, and he was doing this public speaking challenge, and it was you literally just get your phone out, press record, and record yourself speaking for at least 30 seconds, and then post it on Instagram. One take, no filters, no nothing, just raw, and just post it. And I've been thinking about doing something along those lines for a couple years now, and I think it was just a good opportunity. I don't even know why I did it. I can't even really remember it. Just one day I was just like, I'm going to do it, stuff it, like this is happening. So I think we're like close to like 50 days now. 50, I think it was like 49 today. And the last, it's been, I don't know, I've always enjoyed speaking to people about ideas that are different and that not, you wouldn't just have in a regular conversation with someone. So I was able to, especially at the beginning, speak about things that I like to speak about. And it was funny, like, I had people come up to me and say, oh, I think it's really cool what you're doing. And people have reached out and said that it's really cool. So it was yeah, I guess trying to align myself more with what I want to do, and then by definition, I end up attracting other people who like that kind of stuff as well, and then the people who don't like that kind of stuff will kind of like filter out. So yeah, it's been interesting, and yeah, basically just from a place of I just want to be able to kind of work out what's going on in my head and be able to kind of align my thoughts in a way that I'd say I'm a pretty like messy thinker, like, and I'm sure most people are. Like, there's a lot of lots going on in my head. So if I have the ability to be able to put what I'm thinking into words, it definitely kind of takes some of that noise away.
Did you have any doubt about it from thinking, oh, people will go, what a dick, who cares what he thinks? And I guess next level to that, have you had any feedback? Like you said, you had some positive feedback. Have you had any negative feedback?
I don't think the negative feedback comes directly to me. I had my mum and her partner came up for dinner the other night, and they'd said they'd had a few people reach out to them and ask if I was doing okay. Like, they
I
thought
saw
that I
that one.
was like the videos that I was putting up. They thought I was, for whatever reason, like depressed or something along those lines. And for some reason, it comes from like my grandma said that to me as well, and it comes from people like the older generation. Like, I'm getting it from like people that are 50, 60 years or older. They see it as like I'm depressed, and for whatever reason, I'm not. I kind of think about it the other day, but I did put a video up about this a couple of days ago that it's the topics that I'm like you try and do it, like you try and speak to a camera and like
Hell no.
it's like it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, and it's very hard to come up with this like really exciting, like trying to bring people in when I'm talking about these things that just straight off the top of my head. So I'm kind of like thinking in real time and then trying to speak at the same time, and it's like hard for me to put like energy into that as well, because I'm not the most like excitable person in the world anyway. Like, I like to just, I'd feel like I'm a pretty level-headed, calm person. So when you add all those things together, yeah, I might come across as being a little bit, I guess, quiet in the videos. But I haven't had directly any negative feedback. But then again, like the people that like, even if you do get negative feedback, it's like, so what? Like, those people aren't the people that I'm trying to talk to anyway. So it's like it's an easy way to filter those people out, and I'm here to talk to the people that like that kind of stuff, and the ones that engage with that positively are the ones that I'm directing it to anyway. So I think it's a good filter, I think.
What's the coolest thing that's happened from it, either from an interaction with someone else, or just a change in your thinking, or you feel like there's a change in the way you present in front of the camera?
I think the coolest thing that's probably come from it is, yeah, I couldn't think of one moment in particular, but definitely just people that, like just people reaching out and being like, oh, hey, like I haven't really thought about that in a particular way. Or like one of my friends, I talked about one day, I talked about the idea of looking forward to things, and how people looking forward to things can take them out of the present moment. And he just sent me a message, and he was like, mate, that's the best one that you've done. Like, I'm so worried about my next holiday, and like I want to, like, I don't like going to work, and all I'm worried about is just the next holiday and the next trip. And it's like, well, I've actually got to live my life day to day, like you're alive right now, like you only ever have the present moment. So just something like that with a friend who, yeah, probably wouldn't really speak about that kind of stuff outside of that, and he kind of reaches out and be like, oh, like, that's really cool what you're saying there. And yeah, not to say that I'm like, it's hard for me to say if I'm getting better. It's probably easier for the people outside to see me speaking and see if it's actually getting better on a day to day. But I'm sure if I go back and, when I'm finished, the idea is to do 100 days. The last few days have been it's been hard to because I kind of feel like I've almost run out of things to say. But that's probably where you get the most growth anyway, when you do it where it feels uncomfortable. So yeah, I got 50 more days to go. I'll probably might do something a little bit more. I have done a couple of like scripted ones where I've actually like written stuff down and got like Ethan's camera out and done like a couple edited ones to feel like I can get more of a point across. So I might do something like that tomorrow for the 50. But yeah, it's been interesting so far.
You've always been a deep thinker, though, mate. Like I remember some of the conversations that we've had at dinner tables over the years, and yeah, I think you've always had an awesome way of not just taking things for granted, and like you always want to understand it for yourself and put your spin on it. So I think people do really appreciate that. Like your take on it, rather than just hearing a random statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's definitely, if you know the person, I think it has more of a personal feel to it.
What's next for you? Like, if once you've done that challenge, what's the next one?
I've got no idea. Got to stay in the moment, Jay, man. I can't be thinking too far ahead.
Oh yeah, well played, sir.
But no, yeah, definitely. I guess probably trying to work out how all of that, because at the end of the day, like, you can have as many deep conversations as you want, but like, you've still got to go out and live life. The sun still comes up every morning, and you still got to go and do your stuff. So it's how do you integrate that into just living a better life, I think, because you end up in the same position. Like, but I think what the deep thinking does is you end up with a different perspective. You can be sitting in the same. I can be sitting in my bedroom exactly the same place that I was, say, 2 years ago, but can have a better appreciation and pay more attention to the things that are around you and be grateful for what you have and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't really have another goal in mind after that. I'll just do this and then, yeah, who knows? I mean, I kind of just winging it. So,
I remember sitting with you at Bridge Par. I think you were on the DP at the time. I'm not sure if you remember that conversation, but we sat in the clubhouse at Bridge Par, and
it was in New Zealand PGA, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it last year or the year before?
It would have been 2024.
Yeah. And I remember just thinking the massive shift that you'd had at that point. Like you were fully into it then. Do you reckon? And how old are you now, mate? If you don't mind me asking.
29.
You seem to have evolved, challenged yourself quite a lot, which I guess is where I was going with that. What's next for you? Maybe more specifically than an Instagram challenge, but more around. There's that saying that some people aren't necessarily 1 year better; they're just a year older.
Yeah.
And there's a saying in coaching that just because you've coached people have coached for 20 years, they've just coached the same year 20 times.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true for you. I think you seem to have worked really hard and on yourself. How much of your improvement do you reckon's come down to that versus your ability to hit the ball? Any different to say how you did when you were 23?
Yeah, it's obviously very difficult to put a number on that because you can't run two different tests because you never know. Me as a different person, you're never going to know that. So no, I think more just the ability to be there each tournament and each week and be more present and have a more positive outlook on the whole thing just gives me the ability to turn up each week and play more shots from a positive mindset. Because even like in the middle of my DP, like when we were talking in the middle of that season, like the amount of times I thought about quitting was every week. I'd be like, what am I doing? Like, go back to New Zealand and play Charles Tour for 6 months of the year and coach the other 6 months of the year and make 150K and my expenses are going to be low and I can do all that. And the amount of times that I thought about doing that during that period of time, and even last year, it's still there, but it's getting less. Like I'm pretty excited to go and play these tournaments in South Africa. Whereas if you asked me if before traveling to an event overseas, I was never excited to go and do it. Like I never wanted to. It's not something that I was going out and seeking and wanting to do. But I think the work that I've done, it's just enabling me to enjoy it a lot more. And then that in turn gives me the ability to play better golf more often because I want to be there. rather than hating it and not enjoying it. So yeah, hard to measure. Like I feel like my game, I think if you just pay attention, like I don't see how your game can get worse. I'm just trying to focus on shots and try and feel everything that I can while I'm out there. And the more focused I can be, I feel like the better I can get without using too much brain power to try and get better, and just trying to just let it all kind of happen and slowly get better through just paying attention.
There's quite a few Kiwis who go off to college in the States, and quite a few of them are pretty talented, but don't necessarily thrive there. What is it about your personality or character that you think helped you get through that and come out a better golfer and come back here and really take it to the next level?
Yeah, I don't know, because it was, I mean, my first 2 years. So I went over there thinking that I was not going to drink until I was 21. The drinking age is 21 over there, obviously. And the first night I got there, my roommate picks me up, and I had about 12 beers in his apartment. And it's interesting because you're away from home straight away. You're away from home. I was 19 years old. Parents are on the other side of the world. Had a bit of scholarship money in my card, and like I had a really good time the first 2 years. Like we partied a lot, and I don't really know, but we also played a shit ton of golf. Like it was all we were doing was partying and golfing. So yeah, it's hard to say because I mean, you can think of a few guys that have gone over there and been really good, and I think it was just, I think my potential and my ceiling was just really high. And I think because I'd started a bit later, I hadn't played a lot of events. I hadn't really got to even close to my ability and to my potential on my ceiling. So I feel like playing that much golf, even though we were having a lot of fun, it enabled me to get closer to my potential. We're playing a lot of tournaments, and we'd go to class and then play 36 holes in the afternoon, and we'd be constantly hitting golf balls and just playing so much golf. So I think that was definitely a massive part of it. Like it just enabled me to get closer to the player that I was always, I guess, had the potential to be. But yeah, I don't think it was anything in my personality. I mean, I like to practice and I like to play a lot, but also like to have a lot of fun. And I think if anything, that probably that created a lot of conflict for me. I felt like I had to almost be two different people. I had to be able to kind of go in and out of that. Whereas, yeah, I don't think that helped at all. But I guess I think I just had I've never actually thought about that before, but I think I had a pretty high ceiling, to be honest with you.
Yeah, cool. What an awesome answer. Which college did you go to, and what were the facilities like?
I went to University of West Georgia, so it's Division II school, about an hour west of Atlanta. Facilities were decent. Like we had a pretty good range, and we had a couple different courses. The course that we did most of our practice at had 36 holes, so we could go out and one was Bermuda grass, one was bent grass greens. So we had two different types of greens to play on whenever we wanted. Full length range, so you can hit drivers and all that kind of stuff. Pretty decent chipping green and putting green, but honestly, we just got out on the golf course a lot. Like Jay would know, I'm not much of a practicer. Like I don't really like beating balls or getting around a chipping green and practicing my chipping and all that. Like I just like getting out and playing. So that was probably the most important thing, just being able to, just having the freedom to go out and play basically whenever we wanted. So I think that was probably the biggest contributing factor, was just being able to go out and play on some pretty, decent golf courses. They were pretty relatively tough compared to what we played in in New Zealand, and there were a lot of holes where you had to hit good tee shots or you're re-teeing and a lot of water and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely probably yeah. I learned how to drive the ball was a massive thing. Like that was pretty much the thing for me. Like because I would just hit it sideways, so I kind of learned how to get the ball and play because I had to, otherwise I wouldn't play any tournaments. And I managed to play. I think I played every single tournament when I was in college. So yeah, that was a pretty cool little achievement for me, especially going in there not really thinking that I was any good and kind of just being able to grind it out. And yeah,
It's interesting about the practice because you're not shy of hard work. I would say that. So you don't mind putting the work in, but as you say, beating balls is probably not your thing. And I was just thinking, as you said that, if you think of our two best male golfers at the moment, Foxy and Dan Hillier, neither of them are massive ball beaters either. They both love to play more so than practice. Do you think that's something that, and it seems to be getting harder and harder now, like when probably we were all younger, and obviously I'm a bit older than you guys, but you used to pretty much have free access to the course after 3 p.m. at most golf courses, and you could do like cross-country golf and make up, like we'll play from the 8th tee to the 15th green and make up silly shots and go and play when you're a kid. But those days seem to be gone now where golf courses are maxing out. And I think, Sam, growing up in Manaia, you probably had more of a free reign than, say, you may have at Namutu, and Dan played at Judgeford in Wellington and as a kid. Do you think, what are your thoughts on that, mate? Like, do you reckon we play enough now as young people compared to, and I know you probably don't see a huge amount of it, but what's your sense there?
yeah. Well, first of all, I'm obviously very lucky with growing up in Taranaki. Like even now, I can
No
go
one's ever said that, eh? No one's ever gone, I was very lucky to go. No, it's a great place.
from a golfing perspective. I mean, we could go out and tee it up whenever we want. There's no tee time bookings or anything. New Plymouth, yeah, it's starting to get a little bit busy, but I can still go out and whip around in a cart and find holes and hit shots and do all that kind of stuff. Like they help me out. I can grab a cart whenever I want and just get out on the course. But yeah, for me personally, I think it's hard to say, right? Like a lot of guys you get your Brysons who don't even go on the golf course, who just beat balls and they're successful, and then you get likes of Foxy who, I mean, I don't know how many balls he hits exactly, but I'm sure he hits a few balls very quickly and then goes out and plays golf. So, I'd hate to think how many rounds of golf I've played. Like I've just played just all the, like I think it's just the consistency over time. Like I probably had a couple of weeks off over December this year, and that's probably the most time off I've ever taken. Like I literally just play all the time, even if it's just for me and Ethan just go play 9 holes for $10 or something like that. So always out playing. I think, I mean, I think playing golf is the best. Playing tournament golf is the best way to get better. But it's just tricky, yeah, especially like where you guys are, like Tauranga and Auckland. I'm sure the golf courses are packed up there, and you can't really just whip out and play 36 holes. Like me and Ethan can. Well, I remember at Manaia we had a golf cart and we could just whip around in an hour and a half, 18 holes, and then we can go play another 18. And some days we'd play 54 if we had the cart, and I would just play an obscene amount of holes. But we also didn't have any option because we didn't have there's no range there. So that's pretty much the only thing that you had. You warm up, you hit a couple of balls into the net, and then you just go and play. So it's the same thing in New Plymouth. Like there's not much of a range. Like I probably hit like a 6-iron max, and then there's people down there anyway, so people get in the way. And I'd just rather get out on the golf course and hit shots. And I really think I've really come into that in the last few months. Like I haven't looked at a swing video in weeks, months, maybe even. And I just go out there and just play and different winds, different pin positions, and I feel like I have a good enough understanding now of the swing where I don't have to watch it on video. Like I know what's happening, I know what shots are doing what, and all that kind of stuff. So I think all the skill that you develop from doing that is, I think, more important than standing on the range and trying to hit 7-iron flush over and over again. Like, and as well, Jay, like from a skill acquisition standpoint, that's probably not the most ideal thing to do, and just get a lot more practice or a lot better practice in, I think, if you're out on the golf course.
It's funny you say that about no range. I was chatting with Paul Skinner last week, who grew up with Jeff Ogilvy, and they grew up at Cheltenham Golf Club. And he said, which is right, the driveway that shares with Victoria Golf Club in Melbourne. So he'd probably rather go down the Victoria Golf Club driveway, but they were going down the Cheltenham one. And but he said the best thing was there was no range, so they literally just had to play.
Yeah.
And if you think, obviously, Skinner's had a good little career in Aussie, but and it's not one size fits all, as we know. But interesting their take on it, that was actually an advantage in the end, that there was no range and they just had to go and play and make shit up.
Definitely. I mean, I just tinkering. Like, if I get on the range and I hit 20 balls and they start going a little bit off, I'm just constantly changing things. Like, for my personality, it just doesn't really, I just don't think it really works. Whereas if I'm on the course, there's so many different things happening on each shot that you almost can't see like a pattern, because you've got a left to right wind and now you've got a right to left wind, so you don't see a pattern. So then you don't try to change anything. All you're worried about is just getting the ball where you want to go, rather than fixing or tweaking little things. So even now, like when I go, like I'll play tomorrow, and I'll go down to we've got like a little range. It's 120 meters, and I'll hit like 6 lob wedges and 2 8-irons, and then just go and play, because it's like I need to loosen up a little bit, but I don't want to hit there and hit 5 balls and overdraw a couple and then try and feel like I need to weaken my grip to open the face or anything like that. So the more I stay away from it, the more I will go onto the course with. And I think I've played my best golf at home, where I'm just out playing and I just won't hit the range at all.
How's that changed being out on the DP World Tour and Hotel Planet Tour, where from the outside there's like an expectation that you get there an hour before and you go and hit 100 balls before as your warm-up? How's that changed? Are you comfortable going, yeah, I'll whip 5 8-irons down there and I'm good to go?
Way more comfortable with it now, yeah. When I was on DP, I hit way too many golf balls. I did the same thing, like right before I got my card, we'd had like the Elite Am series over in the States, and you can ask any of those boys that I travelled with. I was on the range for 4 or 5 hours because I missed every cut. We played about 7 events. I missed every cut. So I'd drop the boys off. They'd be teeing off on Saturday, and I'd just sit on the range all day and just try and work it out. And I just end up losing my mind. And yeah, it's less. I've definitely gotten better with it now. Like my warm ups now, probably I get to the course 45 minutes before my tee time. Probably that'll be like a perfect amount of time for me just to hit a few wedges. And I should just hit balls with my eyes closed, to be honest with you, because the less I see, the better. Or the less I see, the less I react to it on the range, and the more I'd go in with, because I could count on one hand how many good range sessions I've had, or how many good range sessions I think I've had. So it's just easier for me just to not do it. And to answer your question, I'm getting a lot better with it. But yeah, there's definitely, you watch guys that are grinding and you're like, fuck, I need to do that. Like why? Like, this guy's hitting balls for 2 hours. I need to be doing that because I need to get better. But I think a lot of that has come from, for me, like speaking to Dan and Foxy about it, especially. Dan's an interesting example where he doesn't really practice a lot at all, especially when he's home. Like he just likes to go out and play, and his results have spoken for themselves last week and this year and last year. Like he's good enough to be on the PGA Tour and playing majors, So it's like you don't have to be out there grinding, And I always just had that mindset, you grow up and you watch the motivational videos of like Kobe Bryant and Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, and you're just thinking, all right, I just grind. But I mean, maybe that works for some people, but sure as hell doesn't work for me.
How do you use your TrackMan effectively if that's not the case, sitting on the range grinding and hitting balls? Do you take it out on course, hit it for one shot, go and hit it for another shot, and then go back and look at the data? How do you use that?
Yeah, I love using it. I take it out all the time on the golf course. Yeah, I think it's the most beneficial on the golf course because you can see, you get so many. Now, they've done a pretty good update with it. At the start of the year, it wasn't that good reading spin axis in the wind, but they did a good update with it, and it's really good now out on the course. And you can see how much the wind is affecting your ball, both distance-wise and then directionally. So yeah, I'll basically just take it out and turns it into a bit of a video game for me. Like, it makes it really fun. Like, because I think there's two elements to playing good golf, right? One of them is being able to execute the shot, but then the other one's being able to work out how the elements are going to affect your ball when you execute to get it to get the ball where you want it to go. Because you could hit a perfectly executed shot, and if you're aiming backwards, like, it's not going to get close to the hole, right? So there's an element of you've got to have the ability to, okay, say my stock 7-iron carries 173 meters at 138 miles an hour ball speed and 7,000 spin, 20 degrees and sea level. So that's like my stock 7-iron. But then there's so many different other things that are going on. Like today, I went out and played, and I've got a jacket on, so it was raining, so I've got a jacket on, so my ball speed's going to drop down a little bit. It's a bit wet, so spin's going to change a little bit depending on the lies. It's a bit of wind, it's a bit cold. Like, all those things just make such a difference. And I think the more that I take the TrackMan out and hit these shots in different conditions, and I'll look at it in real time. Like, I'll hit the shot and then I'll look at the numbers and go, okay, what happened there? Like, why did that ball end up where it ended up? I think the more you do that, the more you just get a feel for it, and it's such an underutilized way of getting better, because my execution's not getting better. It's me being able to judge the situation better. And for instance, I played a few holes with Mitch Cale, Nathan, and Brody. They were down here for the Taranaki Stroke Play this weekend, and we played like 6 or 7 holes, and we were standing on the 12th tee at New Plymouth, and it's 185 meters to the hole. I had the TrackMan out. It's blowing pretty good into, like, it's probably blowing 20 Ks into, like, pretty decent path. And boys go up there and they both hit pretty good shots, and they come up like 15 meters short. And I said to them, I had the TrackMan out, and I said to them, how much do you think that the wind hurt that ball there? They didn't really know. They kind of said, I didn't flight it very well, so it probably got hurt a little bit more. And I said to them, that ball got hurt 15 meters in the wind. Right? So they, at 185 meters to the hole, they both hit 185 meter shots, and they got hit 15 meters, so it carried like 168, 169. They were like 16 meters out on a decent shot. And I hit my one, and I knew in my head into the wind, like, you've got to have at least a 200 ball to get that to the pin to 185. So I know my 5-iron, like, I need to hit a pretty good 5-iron for it to carry 200. And sure enough, I hit a great shot, 200 meters. The wind hit at 15. It landed right next to the hole, went to like 6 feet. And like, like, if they just took one more club, then they're right next to the pin as well. But to, like, for them not to say they don't have the understanding, but it's just like to have that knowledge of having the TrackMan and knowing exactly how far your ball goes and how much the wind's going to hurt it. Like, it's just invaluable. Like, you're not actually a better golfer. I guess that's a part of golf, but you're not actually executing any better. You just know what to do. So I went on a bit of a tangent there, but I love the TrackMan. I think it's great. Like, I love taking it out, and like I said, turns it into a bit of a video game for me.
How hard is it, mate, with that? Like, it's all very well for those guys. You know it because you've done it enough.
Yeah.
But when you're standing there with a club where you're thinking, man, I'm 125 meters away and I've got a 6-iron in my hand, even if it's the right club, it's hard to pull the trigger on it until, for those guys, you could have given them the right club, I assume, but then they put a half-ass swing on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is difficult, and it only comes from, and that's, like, golf in the wind is difficult. Like, that's probably another thing, like with the TrackMan, like you say, hitting it into that breeze, it's not going to hurt 15 every time. Sometimes it might hurt 18. Sometimes you might not get the gust and it only hurts at 10. Like, you've got a roundabout idea, but it makes it difficult because there's definitely an element of guessing. You can stand there and hit 2 shots basically identical that get hit massively different from the wind. But yeah, to trust that, I think it just comes from many, I guess, reps. And then with the TrackMan, it's like you're not guessing, so you can get that trust so much quicker. Obviously, not everyone has a TrackMan, but the ranges these days are all pretty good. You can go and hit your own. Well, a lot of them you can't hit your own ball, so that's kind of pointless. But there's a lot of places you can go to with someone that you know that's got a TrackMan or a quad or something like that, and just work out how far all your clubs go. I think that's such a massive thing, and work out how far they go carry distance too, because everyone overestimates how far they hit the ball. Like that's a massive, like just knowing how far, and then knowing what your ball speeds are on your irons too is massive, because that can change day to day, week to week. So, your stock ball might go, for me, my 7-iron's 173 meters, but if I'm not quite swinging it fast enough and they're coming out a bit short, you know exactly what it is. Ball speed's a little bit slower, swing speed's a little bit slower, ball spinning a bit more because the turf's different. Like, that was another thing too, like week to week, the turf's different, and it actually does affect how much your irons spin. I spin my irons a lot more at New Plymouth than I do, say, in Dubai for some reason, just because of the difference in the turf. So, yeah, just to understand all that is massive, massive advantage, massive help.
We had a cool thing last week. I caddied for Cooper at the Vic PGA, and fortunate enough to do some work at the AGC on the weekend before. And being his caddy, I wanted to know how far he hit his clubs. It was a nice enough day, so I got some data. And he was hitting. He had the maybe T100 Titleist irons anyway, like the blade type irons, not quite a blade, but quite a thin sole. And then his 5-iron, I think, was going 180 in the air, and his 4-iron was going 184. Yeah. And I just messaged Alex from Titleist and said, hey, he's got really good gaps until he gets to 4-iron, but his 4-iron was the T150 maybe, and it had a fatter sole.
Yeah.
And Alex said, I'll make up a 4-iron with a thinner sole for him. It'll get through the turf a little bit quicker, which is fine here in Australia. The ground's a bit firmer. He said in New Zealand that 4-iron soles will be quite good and it won't affect it as much, but over here. And I'm not going to lie, there's a bit of me that was going, come on, son, that's not going to work. Yeah. But then anyway, he made up a 4-iron and we went down to 30th Beach. And sure enough, on the range, 5-iron 180 and this new 4-iron 190. And then I was like, get your other 4-iron out again, and just dropped down to 184. And Alex was saying it, and you think, holy shit, there's a lot that goes into this, eh?
Yeah. Did you see where that extra distance come from? Like, did the ball speed jump up? Did the launch jump up? Or
the spin dropped.
Okay.
Would be one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the initial thing that we were looking at.
You can break it down, right? Like, break it down into distance, like if it's only going 4 meters further, it's like, why is it only going 4 meters further, because like it's ball speed, launch and spin, like those are the only things that are going to equate to distance.
It was really cool actually, like to go, oh, that was cool.
I mean the equipment's massive, like to get the gapping right and be able to trust it, and it's huge.
Jay, you missed off something pretty important on Sam's resume. Last year, he won the first official indoor virtual Pro-Am. And I'm starting to see maybe why. Yeah. So going into it, not only did I have a massive golf skill disadvantage, but clearly a massive golf understanding disadvantage of
I'm terrible off mats, like though.
You figured it out pretty well.
Yeah, but I cannot hit a ball off a mat. Like, I avoid mats at all costs. I can only draw it off mats. Big sweeping draws with my irons. I can't cut my irons off mats for whatever reason.
Well, that's what I was going to say before when you were talking about people can do this. That's the problem, is like you think about hitting a 8-iron in that into the grain in Asia versus hitting an 8-iron even down grain, off both of them off a fairway. But that makes a difference. But hitting it off a mat, I mean, the mats that we've got at Tauranga are the best mats. I love hitting off them because, the ball just bounces up into the middle of the face and everything feels fantastic. So that's got to be a challenge.
I don't. I take massive divots. So, like, off a turf, I just get scared to get into the turf and I get too shallow and hit big draws, and I can't stand hitting off mats.
That is a good point, Scotty. I never thought about that, but Sam, you would be good at that, at the virtual stuff, apart from the fact that it's hitting off mats. Maybe you should play in the TGL where they're actually hitting off grass.
Yeah, the only issue is everyone's good at that stuff now. I think a lot of people know without knowing super deep, like ball speed, spin. Like if they know how far it goes, that's pretty much all you need to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the results may challenge you on saying everyone knows that now, because there
Yeah,
were some half decent golfers who won a few events in New Zealand who struggled in the virtual golf. So yeah, it was pretty impressive that you carried that straight over onto a mat for someone who doesn't like hitting off mats.
Do you play a bit on the old virtual golf, Scotty?
Well, I was going to ask you about it. So I have recently. I haven't spent much time indoors. Never felt the need to. But getting the start in those next tour events, which I hope you know about, and I notice you haven't been playing in them.
I do. We
Um,
just don't have a simulator nearby.
yeah, okay, because there's some serious money to be won. So I've been spending all of my time indoors for the last month, and I played one outdoor round the other day, and I battled. It was so hard. I couldn't hit a start line. It was going left and right, and I was trying to do the exact same thing as I was doing
Yeah, yeah,
indoors, which has started to become a little more comfortable. But yeah,
yeah.
I
It's
really struggled
different.
outdoors. So I'm kind of like going in this debate: how much time do I spend indoors, and do I try and get a little bit better at that, or do I just go back to outdoors because I was playing the best golf I'd ever played leading up to that indoor event?
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting one. I don't know. Like I said, we don't have anything nearby, so I tried to set it up with my own TrackMan, but you can't. You need a proper simulator that's all registered, so it's all official and all that. And the nearest one we have might be in Hamilton, and I just wasn't prepared to drive that far because I did see the prize money was pretty good, but it does drop off very quickly. And
It
those
does,
boys are
yeah.
shooting some. I mean, there's a lot of the Scandinavian boys that I play with that play indoors for 6 months of the year, and they're shooting 15 under for 2 rounds. Like, yeah, I don't really think it was worth me going up there.
Sam, you play with a few? You play a few pro-ams and with a few amateur partners, and there's I think all three of our listeners are all club golfers. And what would you like? Are there any real things you just want to shake people when you play with them? And like everyone's default blame is always the golf swing. Oh, I lifted my head, or I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know, I swung it too hard. Are there any things? Are there any common themes where you just like, man, if the general population just did X, that'd all be better? What would you say?
I think take responsibility for the fact that you're just not very good at golf.
Oh, hell.
Like I think that,
Shots fired.
like I think I only see that as a positive. Like learn what actually makes a golf swing work, and like just something. It's not. I just don't think it's rocket science. Like get your low point a bit further forward. How many people fat it? Everybody fats it, you know, and if you just worked out how to get the low point forward a little bit, you're going to get more functional shot. But like somehow it's not your big toe flexing in the top of your swing, like people are always trying to find that magic bullet or something that's just going to fix their swing for forever. And I kept my right arm straight on that one, and then 2 holes later they hit it in the trees, and I mustn't have kept my right arm. Like I'm probably getting a little bit heated here, but
No, I like it. Keep going.
just take a little bit of responsibility and go and see a decent coach. Like understand how good golf happens, and yeah, find someone who
I
knows what
really
they're
like what you
talking
said
about.
a little earlier when you said just learn to pay attention.
Yeah,
That's massive rather than just hit a shot. Did it again.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no reflection on
yeah,
what's actually happening here.
yeah. Like you hit one 2 inches behind the ball, and it's like, oh, what happened? It's like, well, your club landed 2 inches too far. Like it landed hit the ground too early. It's like, how can I move my body in a way that's going to get that club to move in a different position? And I think like that's basically what I do as a golfer. Like if I'm hitting it too far left, I'm just going to try and hit it right. If I fat a couple, I'm just going to try and move the low point forward a little bit. Like it's not. That's what I've done with my chipping. I've never looked at my chipping ever technique at whatsoever. But you just pay attention and you just work out how the club is landing, and I think that's a massive part. Yeah, probably pay attention would be the biggest thing. Don't just get angry and yeah.
What you actually said was take responsibility for how shit you are.
That's
I just want to go back to that.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Take responsibility for how shit you are.
Like understand that you can get better. I guess I'm probably saying that in a pretty mean way, but like I do that. Like I realize that I'm not Rory McIlroy, and there's ways that I can get better. But I think a lot of people put blame onto other things, and then that gives them a way out for them to not try and get better. But there obviously are people who want to get better and want to understand. But I think your question was the general population. I think the general population don't actually take responsibility and want to get better. And you can get so I don't view that as, people might say that that's pretty harsh, but like I don't view that as harsh. I view that as like, if you think you're not good enough, then it opens up the opportunity for you to seek help and get better.
What about on the golf course? So what about in the moment? Are there any things that you would advise people to do as a general rule?
You can't go past taking more club.
Oh yeah.
Like how many people are short? Like I think I can't remember. I'm going to mess this stat up, but when Tiger Woods was in his prime, I think he got the ball past the hole more than anyone else on his approach shots or something like that. Like he was past, I think it might have been on par fives. Obviously that's a length thing as well, but it was something like that where he'd get more balls past the hole than anybody else. And like even at the pro level, guys are coming up short. And that Jay, to a front pin, like how many guys are coming up short and wasting shots because they're trying to get too cute to a front pin. Like if that's happening at the pro level, like how's it happening at, especially like into the wind? Like I'll have a couple where I'll be playing on a Wednesday and I'll be on a par 3 and I've got like a 7-iron into a wind, and like old mate who's on a 20 handicap's hitting like a 6. Like, like you need way more stick than that, because
you need 3 wood.
If I flush this one, as far as just executing a golf shot, it would definitely be take more club.
I like that.
And chip out of the trees when you get in there. But that's not fun though. That's not fun.
Well, it depends. Are you there to score better?
Yeah, you're there to score better.
Chip out of the trees. If you're there to just hit some cool shots.
Yeah, just hit that one miracle ball that you can go tell your mates about.
Yeah. Sam, what would make this year successful for you?
Obviously, like from a performance standpoint, it would be to get into the top 15 and get my card back on DP. I feel like it'd be cool to win one as well. Like I didn't really give myself a chance last year, but on Sunday, but I was pretty close a couple times. But yeah, I think just like overall, just go into try and play the most amount of golf shots with a decent attitude as I can. Because the more I do that, the more I feel like I'm going to be able to execute better, and then that's just going to equal into playing better golf. So just enjoying it a lot more, I think. It's massive even when things are going poorly, because they will at some point. Like it's just inevitable. So just to be able to enjoy it in those moments, and just enjoy the whole journey of it. In life as a whole. That's probably the main one. Just enjoy it a little bit more.
And
love it.
Do you have a caddy mate that goes on tour with you, or do you just sort of pick it up at each venue?
We don't have to have a caddy on Hotel Planner. So we do have to have one in South Africa because we're co-sanctioned with the Sunshine Tour, and on the Sunshine Tour they have to have caddies. So I do have a caddy organised for the first 3 weeks, and then past that I don't have anything organised at all. So it's definitely more of a financial thing than anything, because as you know, caddies are quite expensive. So if you don't have a caddy, it kind of saves you at least 50 grand at the end of the year. So it's something I'm kind of trying to sort that out at the moment, like sponsorship and stuff going into the year. So if I get something together, then I could potentially have a caddy. That would be definitely help. It definitely saves a bit of energy from week to week, especially if you start playing 5-6 weeks in a row.
Mm.
So yeah, I'd definitely like to have one if I could, but yeah, just probably more a financial thing than anything at the moment.
I remember Dan saying that if you finished outside the top 40 on the Challenge Tour, your caddy made more money than you that week.
Yeah, that'd be pretty close. Close. Yeah, you've got to to break even each week. Yeah, you got to be pretty close to a 20th place finish, I think, and you'll break even if you've got a caddy. And your caddy's at least $2,000 a week plus percentage, so yeah, it adds up over the course of 25 weeks.
Yeah.
I've got a few quick fire ones.
Oh, yeah.
Rip
into quick fire.
So shortish answers, Sam, for these ones.
Sweet.
These better be good, because you normally trip me up with some of these. I hope you've done the same.
They're not great. They're not great. We'll see how they go, though. It'll be all down to Sam's answers. Who talks the best game but never backs it up? And you can't say Jay.
Jaden Ford.
What's the best shot you saw someone else hit this year?
Oh man, you really put me on the spot here. I don't pay enough attention to other people's games, honestly, Scott.
What about your brother? Your brother shot 59 on the Charles Tour. He must have hit some good ones when you've been playing.
He's got this mini driver now, actually. So I've got him in a 43.5-inch SFT ping driver, and he can finally hit one right to left. So any ball that Ethan starts right of his target and draws, that's the best shot I've ever seen.
What's the highest score you remember making on a hole?
Oh, that's pretty recent, actually. I made a 10 and where was that, at the Mount?
Oh yeah.
Last year.
Oh, you did too.
You had a bag of chips. You had a bag of chips on the third green.
I was leading the tournament by a shot, and I was down by 5 after that hole. Yeah. So
didn't you just about drive the green?
I hit every single one of them too. Well, we don't need to talk about it though. It's a 10. The answer to the question is a 10.
What's the first thing you check when going to a new course?
First thing I check is where is everything, and do they have a gym? That's probably the first thing I check.
Right, and then I've got a couple of either-or questions to finish. We're going to go links or parkland courses.
Parkland.
Oh, Samuel Jones. Grow up.
It's so windy, links golf, mate.
You've kind of answered this one already, I think, but draw or fade?
Fade.
Have you ever hit a draw?
I like to think I fade my irons, but most people think it doesn't. I can't draw my. I'm actually starting to move it a little bit further left to right with the driver, actually. Straight balls.
All that indoor golf. Firm greens or soft greens?
Firm.
And would you rather chip or putt?
I reckon chipping at the moment. That'd be my answer.
Nice. All right, that's all I got for you, Sam. And I've got nothing to trip you up here today, Jay.
Good. I wanted you to trip him up, not trip me up. Sam, thanks so much for your time. You're about to take off in a couple of days to start the 2026 campaign for the Hotel Planner. And as I said, all three of our listeners will be following with great intent. Keep doing those posts on Instagram. And and go well, mate. I'm looking forward to watching how you get on this year.
Beautiful. Thank you, boys. I enjoyed that.